Welcome to How's Your E-Presence? This show is produced by Business RadioX, and I am Mark Galvin, your host. We're coming to you live from the Subaru of Gwinnett studio inside the Sonesta Gwinnett Place Atlanta Hotel. Welcome, and thanks for joining us today. We love that you're here for this show. We are going to help you do something a little better with your digital marketing. Actually, do a lot better. We're constantly coming up with brand new topics that'll help you solve some of the digital efforts and marketing efforts that you may be running into. I got to tell you, today, we've done two shows today. We had a show with someone who talked about how to grow your email marketing list organically and have real followers, not those fake followers that we all have a tendency to grab out there. So I would encourage you to check that out. But today we're going to learn a lot more more about marketing when it comes to the larger, sort of the more traditional side of marketing. So stay tuned for that. We are also, so you know, we are always looking for guests and topics, but we love to hear from you if you have something you'd like for us to answer. We'll go find somebody that can address that. Or if you have a guest that you think would be great for our show, let me know. I'll reach out to them and we'll ask them to join. If you're just joining in, we are live. So we are, in fact, coming to you from Business RadioX, and we are also coming to you on StreamYard. And I just turned on my StreamYard, so that's why I'm stuttering here, because I want to make sure I got the chat screen in front of me. I think I'm getting a little echo there. We'll see how that goes. Nonetheless, we are constantly trying to find new ways to reach you, and one of the ways we can do that is through StreamYard and live feed. So we are on, I do have to turn this off. So we are on Facebook, we are on LinkedIn, we are on YouTube. So you can reach us in any of those locations and interact directly with us. So and Morgan is our producer. Morgan's sitting at home. Morgan, if we get any type of questions, hit me on Teams and I will answer it. So we're doing something a little different. Sitting at Business RadioX and running StreamYard, we're doing that through the video, but we're running all the sound here through Mike Salmon's group at Business RadioX. So it's a little unique. Let's see. What do I need to talk to? I'm totally off my script here. All right. Oh, this is it. This is our last week for our webinar. We have a webinar that we've been running for over a year about ways to clean up your LinkedIn profile. This is the last week we're doing it. We think we've helped out a lot of people, so we don't have as many people interested in it. So we find that is great. Just want you to know, if you need some help on your LinkedIn profile, we're going to help you with the 5 things that'll clean up your profile and make it rock. People that join that webinar see a 400% increase in profile views. So let's get on to our guest today. Let me tell you this. We have an outstanding guest. I'm very excited to say we have Tracy Roberts with us today. She is with COX Media Group. As a matter of fact, she's been slaving away with COX for over 24 years. She's a media consultant with them now. She has been on their agency resource team. She's been an account manager. She started in radio, not that long ago, because she's really not that old. So we're excited to have Tracy join us today. Tracy, welcome.
Thank you so much. I'm excited to be here.
I am so glad. You know, it is kind of fun. When I called you and we were talking about this, I thought you were probably really used to being on the mic and in front of the TV, but this is not your normal space, is it?
No, this is definitely not. In fact, when I sat down, I was like, wow, 24 years in radio, and I do not spend a lot of time with headset on.
So what do you do? Give us some granular detail of what is your day-to-day work?
So my day-to-day work, I work with probably 20 to 30 different clients that I help them with their marketing needs, everyone from very large corporations like Comcast and Georgia Power to smaller companies here in Atlanta, and help them build their business from the ground up. So look at it from a holistic perspective instead of just looking at it as, there was a time and a place where you just sold radio, right? And we don't do that. So look at it from a marketing perspective.
We constantly talk about the spokes on the wheel when it comes to marketing.
Sure.
You need to have some referral marketing. You've got to have some print. You've got to have some digital, blah, blah. You help with all of those aspects, I'm guessing.
We sure do.
Which one seems to be the one that business people are most interested in today? When they call you, they say, this is what we want.
So the one that people need the most guidance with, for sure, I would say, is their digital marketing. There are so many different companies out there, and there are so few people that people realize they can trust, right? There's a lot of startups. There's a startup every day. And then there's always someone saying they can do it better, cheaper, faster.
Right. There are something I say in the digital marketing space, a lot of smoke and mirrors.
Lots of smoke and mirrors.
Yeah, you can, if you don't know a lot about digital, you can sit down with someone and they can make your head spin. And you can think, wow, this is great. COX has a number of people on staff that does all the specialties. So I'm just going to guess you're probably not managing SEO personally.
No, I am not managing SEO personally. Thankfully for my clients, I'm not. But I do have a really good understanding of SEO so that I know to be able to go out and talk to them. And then what I am capable of doing is taking that and turning it over to my team of experts. So wherever you go, whatever you do, you just want to make sure that there's experts, because there's a lot of, one-man, two-man shows that say they can do it all. And I would tell you that is impossible. You would have to read. You would have to be reading 15 blogs an hour to figure out where Google's going, where Facebook is going, and so that's what we like to think we've built. We've built a team of experts that keep up with it all. But
that's great.
It is it's a lot.
It is tough work. So when you and I were talking the first time, there's so many things that and what this was great is, and some of you said, I don't really know what I could offer your show. Well, the first question I have for you, it really is going to tee you up absolutely wonderfully, and that is, what is the marketing strategy model? And why is it so important to have that strategy? So, this is something that you focus on. It's really in your vernacular. So let's start off with that. What is a marketing strategy model?
So the marketing strategy model is really back to the basics of overall marketing. Gosh, and I mean, that goes back to when I was in college, but we have trained in it extensively. And so it is really a 5-step marketing model of identifying who your target is, what their benefits sought are, what their competitive advantage is. And I'm going to get into a little bit more of this later, but, how do you position yourself would be the 4th. And then the 5th is advertising and promotion. And so I think so often in today's world, especially when all of these different vendors are coming at you, everyone wants you to skip straight to advertising and promotion. And that's not a safe way for you to advertise your business.
Right. Absolutely. Okay. Do that again. Give me the 5.
Sure.
Again.
It is target.
Target.
And then it is benefits sought.
Mm-hmm.
And then it is the competitive analysis.
Got it.
From there, you get to the positioning, and then you can identify. Then you do advertising.
Then it's time to advertise. All right, good.
And I'm happy to go deeper on that if you'd like me to.
Well, maybe.
Maybe. Okay.
I've got 27 questions. No,
there you
just
go.
Kidding.
Good. I like it. I like it.
So, why is it so important to have this strategy?
So the way I like to look at it, so it's like you can almost equate it to going to the grocery store when you're hungry. And I know that sounds a little silly there. But if you go in there hungry, you're gonna spend more than you wanted. You're gonna walk away with things you don't necessarily need.
My wife and I talk about this at Costco.
Oh,
don't go to Costco when you're hungry.
Well, I came home from Costco one time with what I told my husband were a $400 bag of M&Ms because I went for M&Ms and somehow ended up spending $400. So I'm super familiar with buying things, and I probably was hungry that day. Right. So, and you'll get things that look good at the time, but don't necessarily work for what you were trying to do. So the way I look at that and say, okay, so if you try to actually market your business without a strategy, you're going to spend too much money. You're going to buy things that look good and look sexy. You're going to take that call from someone that's going to say, I can do this, this, and this for your company, and I can do it real fast.
Right.
And you are going to, and then you're going to forget the important things. You're going to forget really who you are as a company. So you want to have a clearly defined strategy before you really talk to anyone about advertising and promotion. And then from there, you will be able to look and you'll be able to say, hey, you know what? I love what you do, but it doesn't align with my strategy right now.
Okay,
or,
good.
Hey, this is exciting. This really does align with my strategy and who I'm really trying to reach.
And we're talking about, here you got your strategy, and we're pointing it apart on this table here.
I know,
but,
right?
We got our list, right? We developed it. Maybe there's a grease board that we got it all written down on. And we have a weakness. There's one of them that's not solved. That could go to an outside contractor that this fits. All right,
Sure.
we got somebody that can do this and do this well because it's their focus. Great.
Yep.
That could be part of that overall strategy. But you don't know that that's a weakness until you've identified all the other things as part of that strategy.
So the way that I like to look at it, and I'll kind of walk through that a little faster. So when you look at your target, you want to say, okay, who exactly do I want to be my customer, right? Who is that? What do they look like qualitatively? Is it a male? Is it a female? What age group does that look like? And then from there, you look and you say, the benefit sought is really like, what do they want? And what are they looking for from a company or a product like mine? And here's where I was going to say what you were kind of alluding to is the next step is where you have to get very real with who you are and what you do, and that's a competitive analysis, because you want to be very honest. You're going to line up those benefits sought, right? So you're going to take the 10 things that you know your consumers want, and you're going to take that on the left side of a page, draw another line across the top, and you're going to take your top 5 to 10 competitors, and you're going to say, on a scale of 1 to 10,
how well
or even a scale of 1 to 5. How well do they do it versus how well do I do it?
Wow.
And so, but I say that in knowing I've done a lot of these with clients, and you have to be honest. You have to be real honest. And then you also have to give your competitors the grace to know when they do something better than you.
Yeah.
And know that, hey, you know what? They really do. So I've got to make sure I'm real honest on this, because from that chart, you will have a very clear position, hopefully. If you've been honest about who you are and who your competitors are, and that is that position that gives you like, okay, this is what I'm going to take and use for my advertising. So we always say that positioning, we say, it's got to suck. It's got to be significant, unique, incredible.
It's got
It's got to
suck,
right? So, and
good way to remember it.
Exactly, right? I mean, we work. I at a lot of these. If anyone from the Center for Sales Strategy is listening, they're like, "Wait, Tracy, you're totally ripping off all our stuff." But I've studied their stuff for 24 years, so they're a phenomenal group.
That particular one just sucks.
It just sucks, right? Yeah. So, but the significant, right? You want to make sure, is it really a benefit sought of that consumer, right? Are they really looking for it?
Sure.
Is it unique? And do you do it better than your competitors? So is it unique? And then is it credible? And that's the other one. You got to get real honest. Can you truly deliver it? You can say you deliver it, but do you really deliver it so that when someone comes to you, you really do have the best, the fastest? You want to make sure that you're not just all puffed up and then it's not all ego when you do that competitive analysis, or you're going to end up with, garbage in is garbage out.
Ouch.
So,
okay.
Yeah.
Somebody comes to you, they want to do this, they're working through, you're at the suck stage, and you find out that actually they do suck. Do they still advertise?
I will tell you,
Will you take their money?
You know what? I will say that I think that the people on my team and we have gotten a lot better about saying no. And the first thing that I will tell you, which goes exactly back to what you cover the most, is their website. Right? Like, so I like to say that is, when you go back and watch that original video that, not the original, but Zero Moment of Truth that Google did. So you realize that it used to be that you saw at least the face of your consumer before you disappointed them when they walked into your store.
Boy, isn't that the truth?
And so now there is that zero moment of truth. They are searching for you online. You have no idea who they are. You have no idea what they're doing. And too often people think, I'm just going to put up this website so that I have one.
Right.
Well, that is, and I will turn business away all day long, because I am not ever going to put a message out on any of our radio stations or with any of our digital media.
Sending them to a crappy website.
To send them to a website that isn't going to perform.
Right.
Right. So that's really where so I will say no. Yeah. I absolutely will say no. And I will say, hey, let me help you. Let me send you to a vendor that can help you with your website, because I don't want to waste your money. And so I'd rather have them spend that money on that and then potentially come back as a long-term client.
And this is, I think this is an obvious one. However, if you are, and I'm going to back up.
Sure.
If you've got you're starting a new company and you're listening to this, you got to have a website.
Oh.
So go out there and get a website. Go ahead and grab your URL and do it on Wix, fine, whatever. Build your website. But it doesn't mean that that's it. This is the first step of a million-mile journey. And once they get to the point that they are making enough revenue, they can come to you to advertise. They need to be thinking, okay, I'm going to have to do a website. So they could come talk to you.
Sure.
You could say, and they could say, I need a new website. You're like,
Excellent.
Yep,
I have a couple vendors that I think are the best. So yes,
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think that, but invest in it. Don't, if you plan to be, if you really think like, hey, I want to be a multi-million-dollar business, do not do a $200 website or a $400. I don't think they exist anymore. But but invest in it. Invest in it like you would invest in actually brick and mortar.
Right.
Think of it as something that's where people are coming to learn.
It kind of is your brick and
mortar.
It
is your brick and mortar today.
There's so many folks, the first time they see you, your first impression is that digital first impression.
Absolutely.
It is extremely important. Okay, so after we get through sucking, we go to how to position.
Sure. Yes. And so you look at that and you say, well, that is the position. Is you if it sucks, it is a good position.
Okay.
Right. And you own it.
All right.
Right. And so then from there you move to advertising and promotion. And that is at that point, it's where I think when you and I first spoke, I said, so often people think of marketing and advertising as the same thing. And it is not the same thing, right? It is.
Marketing is more broad.
Marketing's more broad.
Yeah.
Marketing is truly identifying who your customer is and what their needs are and how do you best fulfill those needs. Advertising is how do you take the position you've identified and put it out in paid media to make sure that people know why buy and why buy now.
And that's the part that informs you, i.e. the business owner, on what you should be saying on your ad.
Absolutely.
Because you could say so many different things. I think of some of the things that we hear locally, as a matter of fact, on WSB, a COX property, that there's a guy that does real estate, and he constantly is selling the
guaranteed
flip
offer.
That's it.
Offer.
Yeah, the guaranteed offer. And every time I hear it, I think it just doesn't make any sense to me. Initially, because he should be just asking me to be. He wants to be the realtor for me. He's getting both. I bet it yields both for him.
Well, he gets both, but he is a very savvy marketer, and he clearly identified that there was a need for that whole group of people that wanted to move but didn't want to go through
all the hassles
of moving. And so what he did was took away all the hassles and said, hey, I'll buy it from you, right? I'll buy it from you without you having to do any of that. Yep. And he really has done a phenomenal job. I mean, I think he's the number one realtor in the country.
Wow.
But yeah, so that is truly savvy marketing at its finest. Finding a need that people don't even know they have, right? Can't even clearly articulate, and then being able to go out and take your message, and it's like, boom. I mean, it's amazing.
Now, one of the things that I encourage all of our clients to do is talk to their current clients and ask them, what do we do well?
Sure.
Why do you buy from me? What is it that I do that you think is worth your money?
Sure.
And that can help people get there. Are there other tactics that folks can use to figure out what is it that they do well?
What is it that they do? So I always say, if you have a receptionist at your company, figure out what questions they're asking. Figure out what questions people ask when they call. It's amazing what you can learn. Have them keep even a spreadsheet, even a list of, hey, here's what people are most interested in. Oftentimes it helps you figure out their kind of what are the hurdles? Like, where did the sale stop, right? Like, why did they not book an appointment? And so that is a very, that is super helpful. That can also be done if you're doing, if you're doing a pay-per-click campaign, and you can actually have all of those calls recorded so that you can actually go back and then you figure out, you can learn a lot by listening to those calls.
Yeah, that's an interesting thing. If you are doing any type of advertising on digital advertising, you need to make sure those calls are going through a mechanism. I'll just say that.
Absolutely.
That's able to record it, able to see where that call's coming from, able to capture that data. Not just the old days where, the rotary dial and you pick up the phone, you had no idea who was calling. You do know who's calling today, for the most part.
Sure.
Unless they're calling, they're spoofing and they're calling to sell you something. I still get a ton of those calls. I answer the phone and there's nobody there. Like, hey, it's a real number. Thank you for calling me.
Exactly.
So, we've talked about a lot, and we went through a lot of the questions without even having to go through them organically, which is great. One of the things that's here, and I think that we've probably done this a little bit. Why is it so important to have your strategy well defined before you start advertising? I think we've kind of done that. Is there more there?
So I think that you use the perfect example of, if you have a very clearly defined strategy and you have a clearly defined message, you will see a return on investment. You will, I always say, while I love and am deeply passionate about what I sell, if there is any media with the right creative, with the right message, will work. It will work, right? Because you will have people that will hear it, see it, and it will work if it resonates with people and if it is truly matching what they're looking for and what their benefits sought are.
Okay, now I think this is big.
Yeah.
We're all the way back to the beginning. We're talking about the marketing strategy model. We went through a lot of things. And one of the things I asked you is, are there some people you'd say, you're not a good fit?
Sure.
Ultimately, the reason you're telling them that is because they're not going to see an ROI.
Oh, and that's absolutely it. If I feel like I cannot help someone grow their business, I will walk away. There is some part of that is 24 years in the business that you can, I am no longer at that point, but I will look at someone and I'll say, hey, I need you to do these 5 things. In fact, I told a friend not long ago, I wouldn't sell you something right now until you do these 5 things.
Good.
And they look at it and and it's funny that, they come back to me and they're checking them off the list. Right. And so that is, I believe that's my duty. Return on investment in this world, right? Like we used to laugh and say, I know 50% of my advertising works. I just don't know which 50%, that's a very famous quote that I don't know exactly who said it. So I apologize on that one. Good. But it is.
They're not listening.
They're not listening. I presume they've been dead for a long time.
Right.
But it was, truthfully, you look at that and return on investment in the digital space is so real. I can see exactly how many conversions. Now, the thing that we will always say is, and I think this kind of, you and I discussed this a little bit on the phone, is I also look at it from the marketing funnel, right? Like, so the top of the funnel is going to be your awareness, right? With the bottom of the funnel being actually, they purchased it. So, it all does work together, and that's where you see kind of the ecosystem of all different marketing elements kind of come together, and they all fit in as you move down that funnel. And so, but you do want to make sure that people know who you are. We have another consultant that we work with a lot that he always tells a great story, and I may have said this to you when I spoke to you earlier, but it is, you don't walk into your house in the dead of an Atlanta summer and it's 95 degrees because your HVAC's out and turn on the radio or the television to see who you should call, right? That's not consumer behavior.
That's right.
But do you go and sit down in front of your computer and you Google HVAC repair near me? Yeah, on your phone, right? Well, it's all on your phone, true.
Yep.
So you look and you Google that, and so then what comes up? And so the first 5, they say that the greatest place for a business to die is on the second page of Google, right? So if you look and say, okay, all right, these 5 people, now that is where it comes into play, where have you built a relationship with me? Have you done the work at the top of the funnel? Have you done some branding so that when I actually Google you, you have built a relationship with me. You have invested in me knowing who you are.
And that relationship is, I'm driving home, I hear them on the radio.
Absolutely. Or see them on TV.
Or I'm on the newspaper and I see the ad, the banner, and even these days, I read a lot of digital newspapers.
Sure.
I get nothing in print anymore because I think newspapers have figured out how to communicate digitally. I bet that was hard. Something tells me.
It was hard, but they're doing a phenomenal job, and we need newspapers.
Yeah, absolutely. So, but those ads, those brands appear in front of me, and whether I'm absorbing them or not, I'm noticing.
Sure.
I see that brand. Rooms to Go is always in the Sunday paper.
Yes.
And I never look at what they're advertising, but I see them.
All the time.
I swipe them. I just swipe left. And then when I'm interested, I know I'm going to say, oh, I need to go check. I need to see what that furniture looks like.
Sure.
That is valuable. That's worthwhile. And that's that relationship you're building.
So there's an example of a group that had never done this. So I look at it and I say, I was in my kitchen one day and my oven was out, right? And so I literally probably went to my phone or my computer and Googled, appliance repair Buckhead.
Yep.
And I got Sears, which Sears didn't sell my appliance. And then I had like 4 of the most random companies that I had no idea. And especially, this was 5 years ago, especially now today, you don't want to invite anyone into your home that you don't want it, like that you don't think you kind of trust. And I mean, the one company that I called showed up in an unmarked car. I was like, I'm good. I'm not doing that. So I think there's just something to be said for what have you done to make sure people know you so that when they are ready to purchase, that you are top of mind.
Okay, I got to mention this.
Sure.
If you called that company and they showed up in the branded truck and the person came out in a branded uniform, you may feel a little better.
Oh, absolutely.
So it's the pull through of that branding needs to be start to finish.
Absolutely. You cannot, right? So they had, in that instance, they had a decent website, not great, but a decent website. There was no one won. No one clearly won on that Google search, which was kind of odd.
Yeah.
It's very rare in this day and age that in some category that no one is going to win. But no one did. And so I was like, all right, what do I do now? And so I did. But yeah, you're right. And it is. And that is, when people say the difference between marketing and advertising, that's a great example.
Sure.
Because that you are still marketing at the moment you walk up to their door. And whether that's making sure that everybody looks professional, that they are, in today's world, do they have the little booties on? Is it important? Are they masked? Are they unmasked? Right? There's so many different things that come into play. But that is, your employees are some of your biggest marketers.
100%.
So.
There's all the subconscious stuff that we do without even knowing it. I had a tire that had a nail in it, and I pulled up at a station just this week, and I walked up, and there was nobody at the desk, and I said, literally, I'm going to give them a minute and a half. I looked at my watch. A minute and a half, nobody's at the desk, and I started leaving, and they chased me. They go, oh, no, can we help you? I'm like, I'm kind of done. I'm already done. It is so important, all those little experiential points along that customer path. Well, truly. I hate that the show's only 30 minutes. I say this all the time, and my audience knows this. We're always running out of time because there's always so much great content. We have a guest like you on. I appreciate you being here. I wish we could talk for an hour. There's so much more here. Share it with us. Where do you want people to find you? Where can people track you down if they want to hear more information from you?
Sure. You could connect with me on LinkedIn. So it's Tracy W. Roberts. Or actually, I take that back. It's Tracy Wildy Roberts on LinkedIn. So Tracy Wildy Roberts, I kept the maiden name included there.
So they can find you there. And
they can find me there. And I also, what were you going to say?
We're going to put all this in the show notes. So
Sure.
if you're listening and you're trying to track her down, take a look at the show notes, but keep going.
And you could also do Tracy and Tracy.Roberts@cmg.com if you want to shoot me an email.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I'd love
Well, that's
to talk
great.
to you. Thank you so much. What a treat.
I'm glad that you found time to drive up 85 to join us today. And you know what? Who knows? There may be some hot issue that pops up, and I'm going to give you a call. Would you be willing to come back down and sit down and talk?
Absolutely.
Oh, I love that.
I'd love it.
Well, thank you for being here.
Thank you.
For the rest of you folks, mentioning again, hey, this is the last week to join us for a webinar. I know I've talked about it a little longer than normal at the top of the show, but it's only because it's last week. Here's why it's important. There are 14 million jobs out on LinkedIn right now. 14 million. 44% of users on LinkedIn make more than $75,000 a year. So you can get a better ROI. So if you're out of a job, you're looking for a promotion, you're looking for that new position in another company, or you're a salesperson, you got to be on LinkedIn. Come join me. It's an hour long. We'll go over your profile. It's only $37.50. And I know you'll like it so much that I'm going to guarantee I'll refund your money to you. So I'll give you your $37.50 back if you don't like it, and I'll pay you $20 for your time. I am so confident that it'll be worthwhile. So thank you for joining us here on How's Your ePresence. ePresence is a full-service social media agency. We manage personal, company, collegiate social media. We do consulting. We also have training. So check us out. Go to epresence.me. Check out that website, epresence.me, because it's all about you, to see more about the services that we offer you. Back to the show here. We broadcast live here at Business RadioX the third Thursday at 3, but you can listen to any of our shows going 24/7 by going to businessradiox.com and selecting the Gwinnett Studio. You can also find us on all major podcast channels. Just to see that, just subscribe to our YouTube channel also. We drop videos of all of our shows. Simply search for ePresence. The website, epresence.me. That's epresence.me, because it's all about you. This show is produced by Amanda Perch and produced by Mike Salmon. Our video production assistant is our own Morgan Wood. Until next time, for my guest, Tracy Roberts, this is Mark Galvin, and you've been watching and listening to How's Your ePresence?